I've
Down,
done everything
down.
Start, go ahead, start.
I can't think of his last name, his wife.
Oh, David Varnish.
Okay, so David, they told him he can't be on because they moved 3 miles down the road and they're in Roxbury now.
Well,
We could really use them.
I think, I don't know, Jim, we'd have to look at that. There's some stuff about this. On the Economic Development Committee. Again, we don't really have a, I mean, if it's an elected office, clearly you have to
Right, that's
be
not-
in,
Well,
town.
that's
Isn't
different,
planning?
yeah, I understand.
No, planning's appointed, right?
Planning is appointed.
Yeah.
I think you have to be an elector to be
I
appointed.
mean, because he's valuable, he's an architect
Sure,
and it
sure.
would be really nice and he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I
so-
just talked to his wife and he said, she told me that someone told him he can't be on planning.
Well, we'll take a
He's
look.
under
at
that,
that.
he is under that impression. I ran into him over
Yeah,
the
because he's
weekend.
really an asset.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
hate to lose him.
And I would like
Very
if somebody has I would like us to add a person or two to this committee. If people have somebody they think might be good, that'd be great.
All right,
Yeah,
All right, so invasive species intern, as I think I mentioned last week, Brian brought it up at the last meeting about he had some interns that were working for him. They only work 20 hours a week and he thought he'd at least have one that would be interested in some extra hours and would work for the town. So we did get, Jim, do you remember her name? I don't. Well, that's okay. We did get one person who signed up and now we have a second person.
Yeah.
good.
So they're starting to work. They've worked a little bit. The young lady that works for Brian goes back to college next week or a week after, but the gentleman's in town. And
Yeah.
so he'll be continuing to work for us and basically following the Steep Rock guidelines, if you will, of identifying invasive species. We're trying to do the river first because they're doing a lot of work on the river. And if the next person next to them doesn't do the work, and doesn't do the same thing, it just doesn't, it'd be helpful. So I'm not even sure how much of our town property is abuts the river, but we have that.
We gave them a pretty extensive list, about 8 different places
Great.
along. that they
Yeah.
could, you know, knowing that they had experience, both had experience with Steep Rock, where
Yeah.
they used Steep Rock's model.
Yeah.
And very energetic and eager kids. So.
So we're happy with that.
that's good.
Good news there.
Electric charging stations. Jim, you wanna tell us what, we got
Thanks, Jay.
invited to a meeting, but something for me like golf probably. So Jim had invited me, but I knew he'd be there and I knew he could give us a great report. So why don't you tell us what's up with that?
And Jim, do you want to come
Yeah,
sit up here?
yeah.
Come join us, it'll record
You're an
better.
ex officio member of every committee. in
I know,
town,
right?
So there you go.
So I got a call probably about a month ago, maybe a little bit less, from Clara Bate, who is the program director for Live Green Connecticut and the Clean Transportation Coalition.
Right.
And they're doing a program called Charge Smart. And it's got to do with EVs, obviously, and there's much like Sustainable Connecticut or Sustainable CT, there's bronze, silver, and gold levels. I met with them on a Zoom meeting, her and one of her colleagues, and it looks like we've already achieved the bronze designation, and they invite communities to participate in this, so they don't, you don't call them saying, I want to be a part of this. They selected 3, I think, there's us, there's Norfolk, I believe there's one other community out of the cog,
What's it called?
Charging Smart.
Charging smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the name of this group?
That's the name of the initiative, Carol. The
Right.
group is, Live Green Connecticut and Clean Transportation Coalition.
Cool.
So they just went over and they've got a flyer that I'll leave with you folks. I could print out copies. That goes over all the criteria and what's involved in it, but again, it seems to dovetail with what we've been trying to do, although with limited success with companies going out of business and. You know, is trying to get these stations up and running at various points in town. You know, we will be installing or repurposing the old one out here because we added an EV to our municipal fleet this year.
That's right. You charge, did this have a special charger in the back where it parks?
We actually, it doesn't yet, it should be in the next week or two.
Hmm.
So right now, the
You just put it in
employee
and-
takes it home, plugs it in at home. And it, I think it surprised a lot of people, which was really encouraging to me because
Once
people.
they
It
s-
surprised Mark.
Yeah,
We're talking to him.
you know, he said, I've got to read through the book because there's so many
Yeah.
things to understand about what it can do. It's a generator.
Oh,
It
yeah.
could run your house. I mean,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Whoa.
so there's all
Oh, so
kinds of,
this
yeah.
is-
Hey,
the Ford?
Jim,
Yeah.
maybe we took care of that
Like-
200,000, or was it $50,000 line item that Ethan had put in for a generator that we could move around? We'll just-
Right.
Just put Mark's truck there. That's perfect. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
200?
You just
No, that was
drive
for the
over
It's about 100, I think.
Yeah, it was like 100
Yeah.
grand, so, all right.
But this is, so this is a program we're gonna follow up with. I'm gonna gather more information, but I'll leave these with you folks. The only other thing I wanted to add quickly, if I could, was, and I wanted, it's just an FYI. I had communication from conservation about 3 weeks ago about taking, the initiative was to, the open space fund to spend $10,000 to create a pollinator garden over at the Moore property. And then a $4,000 to $5,000 annual upkeep.
Yeah.
The problem came up, which it usually does when our finance director looks at something and says, okay, how does this apply to the budget? And then she checks things through. She looked at the ordinance. She said, I don't think we can do this, but
What
don't,
was the reason that she didn't think we could do it?
the wording in the ordinance,
This is what ordinance?
open space.
Oh, okay.
Specifically talked about stewardship, preservation and acquisition. So the first thing we did was we sent it off to the town's auditor. And obviously the town's council, Kramer and Anderson, Randy DeBella, both from different perspectives came back with the same thing. You can't use this money for that.
It's
So
good
I-
stewardship.
It just, yeah, you couldn't,
It's a stretch.
yeah, and I wanted you folks to know because I reached back out and I'm gonna be visiting one of conservation's meetings, just to communicate with them and hear, just as a point of due process to hear what they have, but I let them know that unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. So,
I mean, it is something we can look at doing in the budget next year if we.
well, and that's what I explained to them. I said,
Well, I was just thinking, because we've gone through this with the Affordable Housing
Right.
Fund as well. You know, the goals and priorities of the town have changed and we aren't really looking to purchase more open space. We feel that we're sort of maxed out there.
Mhm.
So maybe instead, we add language to that fund that talks about, it says preservation. But maybe we talk about enhancement, because we do have some open space and a pollinator garden is an enhancement or a trail or something that allows the commission to take care of what we have.
Yeah,
So
I
we
think-
aren't really looking to get more.
town council, I think, well, and that's something
So then we
we,
have to
we,
change wording of the
we need to get on the
ordinance.
same page with conservation.
Oh,
Conservation might argue, what do you mean we don't want more? That's their goal,
okay.
right? And
What is, but we, according to the plan of,
P O C D.
P O C D, we've met our
Yeah,
goal. in
I would agree with
in
that,
the
yeah.
POCD.
I agree.
30%.
And there is, and I've thought about this before, I think Michelle and I talked about it a little bit, there is some definite overlap in what we do and what they do, there's some of that.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it would be good to, who's the chair of that now?
It's
Is
Susie.
Susie is still the
Yeah,
chair?
yeah. So I'm gonna go to their next meeting and
Maybe
just,
I could meet with her and we can
Yeah.
talk about what we're both doing so that we're,
and maybe get on that same page of, do we all indeed feel that, we've met that number?
yeah.
Where do we go from here? In addition to monitoring easements and things of that nature, is it also a matter of changing that ordinance so there's more flexibility to maintain these properties or
I think
enhance
it's
these
a
properties?
great, do you know how much money's in that fund, Jim?
I don't, but I think it's substantial because I
Yeah.
don't think we've gone into it
Right.
for quite a
Wait a
while.
minute, we stopped adding, but it kept getting added to while affordable housing didn't.
It's a
So-
couple $100,000, I think.
Possibly, I don't know,
I
I
think
don't,
it is.
I haven't seen the balance in a while, but it'd be nice to be able to use that. To enhance the open space we do have.
Yeah.
Do you know when their next meeting is? Maybe I could join you and we
Debbie,
could.
I don't, Jay, but I'll email you.
All
I'll
right, I think
check.
they meet the.
They meet the same night as us, don't
They're
they?
the first Wednesday of the month,
Yeah.
but they're at like 5 or 5:30.
Yeah, they're right.
5:30 and planning
We're
is
the
7.
second meeting, but
Yeah, they're the first Wednesday.
we're the
just like
second,
Those
so,
great when
Yeah,
planning.
okay.
meets.
Yes,
yeah.
so they,
But they're at 5:30, so they met last
They're-
Oh, I
week.
thought they
and
were at 7, no?
That could
planning's
be,
at 7.
Carol.
Yeah,
Whatever it
no,
is,
but
they-
I thought we were both.
it's not till
No,
next
they're
week.
right
September.
before,
Yeah.
or at least they used to be. I don't know if they've changed. but
I'll
they
check
used
it
to
out.
be.
Maybe you and I could talk about that too, about the, what's,
What's the next
what,
steps?
and maybe Wayne should be in that discussion, really.
Yeah.
In the planning, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
let's get, I think it would be great if we could get plannings. What's your, the P O C D says, I remember last year's talk, when I was talking to Wayne, he's mentioned it before, we've reached that goal. So maybe that, and it's the planning commission that set that goal for the town.
Right.
So if the planning commission's saying,
See what he says about.
we've done enough,
And
or
one,
maybe, selected more, but giving that flexibility, now we own this land, how do we maintain it and preserve it? That's a great
and,
thing.
and that fund will always be there. In other words, that was created back in 2005, I believe, along with the housing fund by ordinance. My question would be, let's be practical about this. If there's $250,000-300,000 sitting in there, what does realistically, once we all come to an agreement on the charge of conservation going forward, what realistically is needed in there? And if not, we know we need housing money. So
Right.
we redirect a portion of that through town meeting.
Well,
not-
now you're really.
Really, you're not worried about the other one.
Well,
That's work.
I'm not saying
No, I
leaving
hear
with
you.
nothing, but if we can agree what the role going forward is, and we can agree what's needed to fund that, and we can agree on a line item every year to add to it.
Maintain what they're
maintain.
doing.
I mean,
I mean,
we
yeah.
did that with our capital line items when we said, wait a minute, this is done. We put back $150,000.
back
in
just
just,
within the general fund, but you can then have another vote
Right.
to then.
right. So just something to think about.
Well,
I think that's a great
I
idea.
would just mildly suggest that as you approach conservation, maybe not say that we're done,
No.
but that
Yeah.
the goal has been met.
And so
You
now
know,
it's
it's
more,
still available in case something
Eagle.
really
That's
amazing
true.
comes
The
up.
conservation goal has been met.
Eagle.
A
Yeah.
goal, right? But that adding language to the existing ordinance that allows enhancement
right,
would allow them to do more with what we have.
Sure.
right.
You know,
And
without
what is
like
that number?
shutting there's no need to be so black and white and say.
No, and I don't think anybody
And
was
if they have,
advocating that.
like you
Yeah.
said, 200 grand, then maybe 100 grand should pay, and we can
Yeah.
look to repurpose that to housing, because that's.
With the knowledge that every year is an opportunity to put funding into that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna leave them, but again, if we all know the goal going forward, it'd be helpful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'll definitely let you know, Jay. And I'll leave you folks this and I'll come back next month and update everybody.
Great,
Okay?
thank you, Jim.
And thank you, folks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for all the hard work.
Thanks for meeting with them since.
Yeah, no, it was, I learned something new every time we delve in this, one of these, like
Yeah.
you and I did the solar.
Right,
and
right.
You know a lot more about it than I do.
Well,
It's,
What's the benefit of that?
I was gonna ask, do they have some money to?
I mean, by just being
allocate?
recognized by them.
yeah, it's being recognized, but it's also doing best practices going
Okay,
forward. And I
just like
believe
Suzanne.
that when it comes to things like grants, that's a
Yeah.
feather in your
Yeah,
cap,
Yeah,
to
totally.
have that designation.
Absolutely. Okay, makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, folks, have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Yeah,
Thank
did.
you.
Thanks, Tim.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
did.
Jim.
And I won't go to conservation alone. I'll make sure I bring.
Again.
Right. So, we have various signs, so Michelle worked
I
on,
saw that on the
Yeah,
agenda.
well, I
was
Yeah,
kinda-
that's on the
what?
agenda.
yeah, I also,
Various signs.
well, we talked about, putting up some signs back here, which we do have one now, Michelle, put up, got a sign made, about the, glass out back, which was great, sandwich board size sign, but it really, I think it spells out what's that's containers for, even if we haven't really publicized it too much.
In the
Or-
selectmen's, in the selectmen's thing, he maybe throw that in.
Well, I wanted to have the sign out there first before we said anything.
Oh, okay,
To
yeah.
anybody. And then I found, that, the folks up at the transfer station had given Kevin Smith, our highway department, guy, who, a list of some signs they wanted to make up. And I had that piece of
Where's that?
paper. There you go.
There's the picture of it.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So it makes it real clear.
Perfect, right
Oh,
in
yeah,
front of it.
very
I
nice.
mean,
Yeah.
can't
And
miss, right?
I actually called the company as well.
Oh, yeah, about this.
Because apparently there's some trash in there. Well, not apparently, I looked in.
There it
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
it's.
There's
it's
also
probably
a
gonna
huge
be
number of
close.
Spedba bottles.
Yeah, I know.
Quart bottles in
So
there.
I've got to call into the company asking if I can put either bumper stickers or magnet. So that it comes up that says glass only that goes right next to the circle. The circles on this one are
Yeah.
very big. The one at the transfer station are small, so this sort of
Makes it easier to throw.
easier
yeah.
to put trash in there. So we'll try to work. on
And
that.
the thing that's kind of weird is right on the other side by the walkway,
With the trash.
there's a trash dump thing there, so, you know, well, what the heck? But I think that was very
It's a
helpful.
good sign.
So we also
Thank
talked about some up at the transfer station. Like I said, they had asked for some signs. Some of them don't have anything to really do with recycling. Some of them are helping direct people to different whatever in front of the metal, where the metal is and telling them what they, you know, costs are and things. But a bunch of them were related to glass or the food waste, that and the plastic. So, and yeah, this is sort of what.
That was what they wanted.
You know,
And
this-
I got started on the to-do list of signs and
Yeah,
then
we weren't
things
real happy,
changed.
so I saw Liz the other day, who also wasn't happy, but so what it is. I told her we were trying to have the signs be uniform, that and I told her that about the glass, I think I might have had a picture of that, and I showed her and said, we wanna be, so I told her that we would come up with some drafts. And I'd share them with them and get their input, so that's where we are right now, and Michelle, as she has time.
Yeah.
was-
Well, and
Your
it's so funny. I feel like every project has sort of a rabbit hole component
course.
to it, because we wanted to add QR codes to
right.
each of the things. But then I went to our website to grab, and
Yeah.
we don't actually have the proper flyers there so that I could have a QR code to get
Get
to
there.
them. So we gotta update the website, because the QR code just brings you to our website. If I,
Right.
remember we talked, if I do a QR code to somebody else's website and they do a
Right, and
a
they,
redo, then the QR code
code
is
doesn't work,
dead.
right,
So, yeah, so anyway, so I was poking around the transfer station information on the town website, and that's where I saw there's a lot of outdated stuff.
okay.
The trash here, actually, you know what, we don't have anyone on Zoom. Let me just pull it up and I'll show you.
And I can have Mandy go in there and,
Yeah, so we kind of need to, well, it's not just
Well-
Mandy, it's.
well,
Okay, so under trash and recycling, so this is, I was able to do the QR code for the food waste. So here's food drop off. You click on that. And it brings you to the flyer, right? More
Right.
information brings
Yeah.
you to the flyer. But we don't have one uploaded for glass. I have the HVR or whatever one, but we didn't ever sign on with them. I went to the USA Recycling, they have some good stuff, so I can maybe grab something from the people we actually use. But here, under single stream recycling, this article was written, so it's got 2011-12 data. And
Wow.
it had some misinformation in it, and I watched a lot of the videos. By the way, Jay wrote a great article for the newsletter about our trash. And I went to the website.
Yeah.
For USA
Yeah,
Recycling, which
yeah.
is all American.
yeah,
Great
Yeah,
stuff,
I-
watched a
yeah.
bunch of the videos
me
and
too,
everything,
yeah, it was good,
but so we now need to update.
so I'll look at that to
So
update.
so I don't wanna make a QR code to information that's incorrect, so I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't go any further on the
All right.
line, so.
So
Yeah.
one thing Mandy could do is, do we have on the glass, do we have a flyer from them, a direct, just?
Well, so what I have is what I happen to say, and I think it's what I have out there. From the HVRR about,
We had one,
yeah,
and same with the plastic one, can we put that?
You know, Michelle, where it says, we're now single
this is the last
stream
one. I
recycling.
don't have a digital, I scanned in a brochure that Jen
Like a
left a
printer,
couple
yeah.
years ago.
So the question is,
Oh,
can we
yeah.
scan this and put it online as a PDF?
I mean,
They don't care.
You know
I
what?
don't
Okay.
think so.
It's no longer true.
I know, I mean,
You
that
do-
first
you have to
sentence,
Pull the glass.
that
Yeah.
description of
Yeah.
single,
Well, we are offering that option, but people at home who get it picked up and just put all their stuff in that blue bin at home aren't separating out the glass.
yeah, but it says you no
I
longer
thought that
have
was
to,
mandatory.
it's no longer
No.
necessary.
No?
No.
Sorting glass?
No, we'd like you to sort the glass, but it's not a requirement. We just giving people that option because we know that two things, all of it goes to a place that uses it. So it's all
Right, right.
recycled. And secondly, it
Oh.
reduces be a load that we get picked up and charged for that goes to
Okay,
Murph
yeah.
Road or Murphy Road, they both go to the
Murphy.
same place.
Yeah. It's called a MRF,
Yeah, it's called a Murph, this machine they had.
materials.
Yeah.
Reclaim.
It's kind of cool, because they tell you they recycle 99% of what is. What what is recyclable. So I said, in other words, but then they said to me. So they take it and put it through the MRF. And 75% of it comes out. And they used 100% of that 75% that goes through and is then usable.
Sort all the stuff.
Okay, so that means really 25% of the stuff is not being recycled,
Can be treated like garbage.
and that is going to a landfill. And all the garbage, if you use them picking them up, if you use All-American to pick up your trash, it goes to a landfill in Pennsylvania. They don't really like to say that, but that's what happens to it. But we both send our recycling, because they do the pickup for us at people's houses. And we separately send the recycling, the single stream that people can do up at the up at the transfer station. It all goes to this
Yeah.
MRF,
Yeah, the All-American
which is
MRF.
pretty cool. I mean, it really
Materials
is.
Recycling, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know what
MRF,
they-
it's well, here, and they've got great information
Wow,
on their
that's
website,
great.
so we need to grab this. and
Yeah.
Put it onto
Yeah.
the town
Yeah,
website.
that's,
So do you have the glass flyer? Oh, that, you just showed me that. and I
Yeah, but
gave
you
it-
know what, we could also go to
Can't we just?
the USA.
Yeah.
Recycles and just talk about what's acceptable and not acceptable, it's pretty much the same,
Yeah,
but.
because
yeah,
they
it's
do
kind
break
of
out glass
interesting
if
'cause
people
it's a-
want to. I mean, they do it, but it's single stream, you lose 25% of whatever you
Right.
put in there, doesn't get recycled. And that goes to the landfill. And it could be just, this is it's in the article, but this is if you take all of your bottles and put them in a plastic bag and put it out on your driveway, or you throw them in,
garbage can.
they don't open up the bags to see
No.
if there's glass in there or anything that's recyclable. Anything in a plastic bag
No.
doesn't get even through that's part of the 25% that doesn't get recycled.
Well, we set aside our bottles in
Yeah.
a 5-gallon taping
Yeah,
bucket.
so I would,
Could we put that out with our blue bin?
you could.
So-
Yes, you can, but it's all gonna get put in the same place
You're
and
gonna
go to
dump it
this
back
Murph
together.
Road. But as long as, like, you have a better, if you just
Well-
dump them in there
In the
without,
blue
in the blue bin, you have a better chance of them getting recycled. Because they're not in another bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But if you go to
But-
the
but
dumping
that's-
truck
that's
or
still-
dump them back here,
Yeah.
100% of that goes to a company that uses all of that glass.
okay, so, basically the best thing to do is to
Right,
go to the transfer station or here
right,
and use the glass recycle bin.
exactly. And it saves us money too, because then the load that we take up to the MRF is less
Mhm.
weight, well. It takes longer for that compactor up there to fill up, basically, so you don't
Yeah.
have the glass in there, so. All right, we got off on that a little bit, but,
Yeah.
so Michelle's gonna get
We're
a
gonna
chance to
work on
finish
some-
up the signs, and then we're gonna work that out with the folks up at the transfer station, so we're kind of uniform here. The firehouse and the town hall, I did some work on. People flip the copies, I thought I did, well, I guess I'll only have one here, so I was trying, the solar started work, on the firehouse started working in, late December of 2023. Okay, and now it's been working since then. And the last 2 months I have information for, May and June, we basically are not using, we're getting it all off the solar company now, the power generation, which is at 0.087, okay, cents per kilowatt. We were paying 1.025 through the agreement that we had. So we've got a big cut in that. So one of the things I tried to do is I tried to look at the last 6 months from 2022 through 2023, December through June, so it's 7 months, and then 2023, December through June of 2024. So trying to compare, seeing what we did. So if you just compare it directly without looking at what were charged in 2023 versus what we're being charged for now, we saved $420 for that period. But if you then, what I did was then I took what the kilowatt hours that we had in 2024, and I multiplied them times the prices we paid in 2023.
Mhm.
You see what I mean? To try to compare apples to apples,
Yes.
save $2,000
Mm.
if you look at it that way.
So you're projecting what future savings based
Yeah,
on previous.
Yeah,
'cause it's only-
trying to see.
You don't have a full year of data
Right,
yet.
and I wanted to see, are we saving money on this? You know, it's good for the environment anyway, but we are and even if it was the $429 for 6 months, it almost probably get close to $1,000 in a year. But if you compare them to the old prices, it's a good savings.
Yeah.
So Jay, when they did that, they decided how many panels were needed
Yep,
and they had the maximum they can have and all
right,
that.
and part of the issue there was it doesn't really face
Yeah,
south, so,
they
so
don't
we're
have
not
the
getting,
best-
so,
'cause
no.
that, you know, those numbers aren't real great, but
It's-
they're.
Right, but they're, you know, and part of our point was when we did this was two things. One was we thought we'd save some money. And the second one is we wanna live, you know, walk, the talk, you know, we're saying we wanna do all these things, then let's do them. So this comes back to this building.
Okay.
And I talked to Jim about this and we're gonna, ask, the trustees, who are trustees of this building to meet with us to talk about it again. This is the thing we got from, the Connecticut Green Bank, who we worked with to do the solar on the firehouse. This is, it could be in color, except print in color. So this is a picture of this building and what they were projecting to put on for solar. Now, if you're looking at that, that's basically the side of the building facing, the post office, the plaza.
That's where they get most of the sun, so
Right, 'cause
nothing in the back at all.
Right, because it really faces south. I mean,
Right.
that's really what it is. Now, if you look at this, they say that in the last line of all that words there, percent of usage offset by solar. 77% of our electrical use would be offset by solar.
Whoa,
That's pretty,
what's your electric bill now? Oh,
I don't have it with us, so I can't tell you. But I do have it somewhere, but that's a good question. I should have
because
had.
you know that, I remember cause I've had solar for 10 years now, and when I got it, I was paying like $200 a month for electricity. I imagine it's about 4 now.
Oh, yeah, and they just increased
And
the
the
prices
state
again.
increased.
They
So,
just increased the prices again today,
So you're
so.
gonna save money.
so the 0.1079 effective rate utility info, that's what we're paying right now for the electricity we use.
Which one are you looking at? This chart here? Well, that was this is 2021, so this is.
Oh, oh.
Because this is
okay.
when we first started discussing.
Got
that.
it, got it.
And we, as I've said here, and I understand this, the trustees felt they were not against solar, you know, because of the savings, but they thought the look on the side, on the building was not something that they thought was appropriate for this building. I told Jim, I'd like to have, ask, I said her name before, Emily, her name is, to come down and meet with the trustees to talk about what it is, to show some pictures of what it would look like. And I think, I mean, I've talked to a number of people that didn't like the look of solar, and now they don't feel like that anymore. They're
Yeah, I
used to
mean,
seeing it and they're,
Yeah, that way of thinking is kind of
well, that's
old.
what
I
I'm.
mean, people used to, oh, solar, it's ugly, blah, 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 but
Yeah.
I mean, I think the trade-off now is so obvious
Well,
that.
that's the thing. And if I can have her update the numbers as to what it would be.
I think if
even
they
thought-
got educated, you. would
Right,
get it.
so,
Did we talk last time about trying to get a rendering of the like, I mean, maybe they're. Not just that's a bird's eye view, but like
Oh,
from
from
the
the
street,
level street,
you know, well, or even just showing a picture. of the town hall from the front, showing how you don't really
Yeah.
see these roof lines.
Yeah,
You know, the
Yeah.
drive-by is not gonna change. Let me,
Right,
See, no, my attitude is you come by the town hall and you see the panels and you go, wow, that town's really
well,
progressive.
and that's,
well, that's you and me, cause we
Yeah,
have
but-
solar on
and-
our
and that's
houses.
part of what- that's part of what we were talking about when we first started about this. Again, we're trying to set an example,
That
so.
Washington
Yeah.
should, really.
I like that. You mentioned that before, Michelle. I'll talk to, first off, I want to talk to Jim. He's in agreement to go to the trustees. And I'll talk to, Emily then about updating this information that they have. There's a whole slideshow they had that they did. But
Yeah,
updating that and seeing if they can come out and do a rendering of that, of what it would look like from the front of the building especially. And if you
Right.
go over and stand in front of the, food market and look this way, you hardly see the roof at all. If you go over by the post office, you can see the roof much more. But if you go over by there, where the chimney is, where, you know, that the cupola is,
Mhm.
from there over, you can't even see that roof at all from that side of the
yeah, that
building.
would be
So,
I know, I'm trying to pull up, so from the road,
beyond line of sight.
yeah, you wouldn't see it at all.
They make
It
sure they
keeps-
emphasize the savings that you're gonna.
Well, that's why I wanted to see if everybody agreed, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask Emily, because I wrote her and said we were thinking about this, and she was like, the email I got back was, she was very excited about it. So I think they would be willing to update all this information.
Yeah,
I'd love to see them come out and do what you're suggesting, Michelle, a picture of, get a rendering of
all right.
looking directly at town hall.
I'm trying to,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up pictures here, just so, while we're sitting here. For example,
Uh-huh.
as a compromise, let's say, so here's the side that we're talking about.
the side of
But
the panels. would be
This
on.
is
Yeah,
from,
right.
from the post office side, but if you're looking from the front. All right, let's see
Yeah.
if I can. make
Yeah, there
this
you got it.
big. So if you're looking from the front, as a compromise, we could.
Don't put it on
say,
that one
just-
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just leave off that one front piece.
Yeah.
And only do the,
The rest
the
of it.
big
Yeah.
side and this side.
And you never.
That's a very small portion of the thing, and it would be a nice,
Yeah,
it's a compromise
I
that I
think
think makes
yeah.
sense. That is my office right there, and I can tell you it gets a lot of sun, because it's really hot up there, but,
And that's the side where these panels are gonna be? Where your
well, I
office is?
mean, I'm trying to think, that is not south face, so sun.
what's that? It's not exactly
North,
south.
so this is south.
Yeah.
This is north, east, so this, I bet that little piece actually produces the least amount too, because it doesn't get as much sun.
Yeah, I don't know, they were
North,
trying to
south,
achieve
east,
maximum,
west.
maximum use, but it was enough of an angle that it was worth doing there. That was part of it, same like with the firehouse, it was enough of an angle to get this, it's not the
Right.
ideal, but it was enough
Right.
to make it worthwhile, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Food market, so, all right, I'm gonna, write back to Emily and say we are very interested, I hope, and I'll talk to her about this, and Jim and I talked about bringing that committee together, and hopefully, like Carol said, people are more used to it, and we'll try to also talk about the idea that the town is,
Gotta educate,
Yeah.
their thinking is.
and it's a positive thing to me, if you come to this town, you wanna, oh, wow, that town, I like to live there, kind of
Yeah.
thing, so. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, so that's what we'll move forward with that. Two cycle engines, if I remember our last meeting, you were gonna look to see if you could find any towns around here that offer a tax break, so we could steal their ordinance and just
Yeah.
stick our name in it or whatever. I don't know if you've had a chance
I
to do
did
that.
talk to a few people, but I have to confess, I was, I didn't do that, but I will for the next.
All right, that's
meeting.
great, I get it.
My job was to go to the assessor.
Oh, yes, right.
Right, so I got the list of businesses, and there are 631 registered in town, which I didn't
Wow,
realize.
that's,
And
How
landscaping,
many
Just
landscapers?
no, this is
no,
everybody.
No.
Anybody who pays property tax as a business.
how many though?
Boy, that's a
Six?
lot.
Yeah, 600 and
Where are those businesses?
So they're every last
Oh, they-
LLC,
they-
home business,
Oh,
whatever. is
so if you're,
listed.
if you're
It's
an
not
LLC
storefront.
Yeah.
and you own a home as an
If
LLC,
you're well, I don't know about writing, if you're expensing equipment, but certainly if you're paying taxes to the town on your equipment,
yeah, that would be, yeah.
you're
clear.
listed here. I
Yeah.
mean, I have not, I was away for a week in between our last meeting
Yeah,
and here. So I didn't have a chance to dive into this too much. Some of this I'll be able to tell from the name. So under business type, landscaping is not a
Yeah.
category.
Right.
No, it's either service, manufacturer,
Oh, so you have to-
retail,
Winnow it by hand.
Go through the whole
Yeah.
thing.
which I'm
Did she give you
actually,
that as a spreadsheet?
yes.
So if you go in the spreadsheet and you sort by business, type of business, landscaping isn't even mentioned as a type of business. So
No,
what
it's
is
not
it?
a category.
So
So
do
we've
you
got
see a landscaper?
catering, tradesman, service, leasing, but a lot of them don't list anything. Service,
So I know,
Other
let's go to
retail.
Beebrook Landscaping. They're,
I did not bring my reading glasses.
Here.
Well, they
B,
didn't register.
B.
maybe they have list, that's what he is,
So he's either listed
or maybe he has
as
his name
something,
listed.
yeah, what's his name? It under his,
Yeah, Eric,
Dusky?
No.
oh yeah.
Quist?
no, not Quist, but,
I have Dusky.
You have
Eric
Dookie.
Murray. Murray.
Okay, wait, Dusky Landscaping and
All right,
Estate,
Yeah,
there you go.
okay? Nothing.
So they're just not listed as anything.
It's just,
so they
yeah.
what?
It doesn't, it does, there's not a category there.
So you're kinda gonna have to-
For Dusky, I may as well start
What
that,
does that
cause
mean?
that's one.
Does anybody have a time sitting at the, lake or drinking your coffee, watching your neighbor that would like to go through this for Michelle instead of
You
having
know,
Michelle do
Well,
that?
I feel as economic development, kind of going through this isn't a terrible idea.
Well, okay,
'Cause
I'm
I'm
just,
kinda curious,
I know
like,
you got a lot of
well,
stuff.
Yeah, that,
I'll do it
that
if
gives
you
you
like.
a wealth of information as the economic
right,
developer.
there's just a lot of stuff going on here that I
Right,
wasn't really
that's-
aware of.
Yeah, there you go.
That maybe I should be.
Yeah, so
And
educate
maybe,
yourself.
maybe some people are working in town that aren't registered as well.
Oh, I'm sure that happens.
I'm sure it does. Well, boy, Corey, I am telling you, I was talking to her and she mid-sentence left, she saw a car with a trailer with a lawnmower or something on it, and it didn't have Connecticut plates, and she went and took a picture of it,
Wow.
because you have to,
Yeah.
I forget how many days to register.
Gotta be, yeah.
And so she is on it. She is on it. So good for her.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's some, I
yeah,
have to go through that.
We
It's
would
still,
help, but I
it's still
think
their
we
busy
could.
season, so if we're gonna organize a talk with them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
but I think
this
its
is
first
the
step
time.
is we gotta
Yeah,
get the
we
list
gotta,
together and
right,
see at the same, if it, I think it will be more. Turns out to be 5 of them, is it worth our effort, I mean, but, if you get out of the 50 companies that are in town doing stuff.
right.
But, let's get that info and then we can go from there.
yeah.
All right.
Glad you got that anyway. It's a place to start.
Yeah, it is, and it took me forever to even figure out how to print it, and I pulled out some of the column, it's like a massive
Oh,
spreadsheet. So I tried to make
Hide
it,
the ones
make
you
it,
didn't
yeah,
need.
so it's the taxpayer doing business as the street and then the property.
So why, I mean, maybe this
location,
is a
just
question.
to- Yeah,
Maybe it's just a question for Corey, or maybe. I'm curious why, when we register these companies, we don't get what do you do, to fill in that column? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to me she should. She seemed pretty efficient. It would certainly seem
Incredibly
helpful in the future that
Well,
they do that automatically,
maybe-
so
Yeah.
then you can do this, what we're talking,
Mhm.
is sort it into different things.
Yeah.
and maybe maybe moving forward,
Yeah,
she will add in more. It's so funny.
Well-
Here's one, agri management. That seems like landscaping. I'm gonna be doing a lot of Googling, I think.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Right?
Mowing somebody's lawn.
I'm curious to see if Eric Murray is listening as, I know
Agricultural
Beaver
management.
Brook Landscaping and
Right?
he's,
Yeah,
I know, as an aside, I have, somebody went to, Corey to ask about doing business out of their home. And sort of indicated they were kind of doing that already and what would, and the next thing that person knows is somebody showed up to check them out, because
Mhm.
Corey's thing is if she knows, then she's gotta follow through with the,
Corey
Powers
is the
that be.
person who keeps track.
she's our
You're
assessor.
assessor. She's the
Assessor.
assessor.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's out there doing that.
Well,
Very
she-
active assessor.
Well, part of her thing is too, she's a sworn official, and part of her job is if she sees something that's not right, she gotta go to whoever's. You know, whether it's the fire marshal or the health department or whoever it is to check to see if they're. Make sure they're doing the right thing,
Yeah,
so, which is great, but.
yeah.
Anyway, so two things, maybe we can get her, ask her if she can fill it when, you know, the category there, so it's easier. As economic development, it would be nicer for you if you could sort by type of business.
Right. I mean, like if retail, for example, is a category and that, you know,
Yeah.
those are the storefronts. Those
Yeah,
are the ones I'm
right.
most familiar
Right.
with.
Right.
So I
But,
could
you know, there are a
sort
lot
on
of
that,
people
but-
sort of
yeah.
consulting through their home. And actually, I think a lot of people register as an LLC to consult through their home so they can write stuff off on their,
Right.
on their business tax.
But
like
then
make
they're
fun
paying,
stuff.
then they're paying equipment if they have equipment.
But yeah, like, so if you're a consultant,
So they have equipment.
You have your
Typewriter,
computer,
yeah.
typewriter.
but right,
Computer.
they maybe have to pay tax on their computer and telephone, but they're expensing all that travel or
Right.
whatever. I don't know,
Right.
you know, they've done the math, I'm
Yeah,
assuming, or
I'm
their
sure.
accountant has.
Alright.
And I'm not gonna,
But the
Right.
town just wants to get a little bit of their money.
well,
out.
that's, you know, yeah,
well, that's.
just enough to
No.
keep our taxes, you know,
Yeah.
and, right. All right, I think that's all I had on my list. Does anybody have anything else that I forgot to put on here or
I
anything
just
they wanted to?
wanted to say, I met with Nora, whose last name I forgot, who's works over at the Montessori school.
Right.
Thank you, and is looking to get a sustainability committee going in
Yeah.
Warren. And
She did, didn't she contacted us?
yep, she came to one of our
Right,
meetings.
right, that's right,
Actually, she
yeah.
was gonna, I think, zoom
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
but she probably
Yeah.
forgot. And we have to, can we get one of the plastic recycling boxes for her to put up at Montessori? Their box fell apart. They made like but they're
The
doing it up
bag,
there.
the plastic bag?
Yep,
Yeah.
And what they collected, she brought here. So yeah, so there's a
Yeah.
nice tie-in, you know, they're really trying to do some, they're composting there. She was wondering why we can't do it here. And I was like, once you get bigger, you have to get certified and deep and it's hard.
She probably doesn't wanna ask that question to Deep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, they're just doing their
Yes.
their
Yeah, but-
in-school.
Yeah, but they're, you
Yeah.
know, they're a nonprofit, public institution, you know, whatever. That's different than doing it at your house, for sure, I'm bet. you.
Oh, that,
I mean, I'm not
probably.
I'm not calling Deep, don't worry, I'm
No,
not telling
no, no,
Corey,
no,
and I'm not
but-
telling Corey, so you know.
No, but it's pretty
But
amazing what
it's
they've been doing
great.
up there and they wanna
It's
tie in
It's
with what we're doing as a committee,
great.
so.
Is
yeah,
there
so
any
we had a-
interest in at the gun school
Yeah,
or Rumsey or
Oh,
this
for
kind of thing?
composting
For
or
basically
tie-in?
Or the plastic.
recycling, sustainability activities.
Well,
You know.
we should reach out to
Yeah.
all the schools.
right.
Yeah.
I know that Monique has talked to the primary school and a Montessori. I don't know if we've talked to Rumsey or Frederick Gunn, but Frederick Gunn is on that, like sustainability with
Yeah.
the new building. They have EV chargers up
Yeah.
there. They're
Well, it'd be
on
great
it.
to,
They're getting their own compost pickup. The same company
Yeah.
we're using.
Oh,
It's
so
going.
they're
So
kind of ahead of
they're,
it.
they're on it, but
Yeah.
a little coordination might
I
be
think it'd be
nice.
great to bring them together and just talk about what they're doing, and
Blow
maybe
their
there'll be
horn,
other stuff
so,
that
you know,
they could,
people-
they're doing that we're not
Give 'em a little
doing, or
credit.
vice versa, I think that'd be great.
Just the sheer amount of volume that they
Yeah.
process, right?
A
Because
lot more, no, yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and I do think, I know that they're doing some composting up at Chippewa with the agri-science, but just learning a little bit more, it might be kind of interesting to invite
That'd be-
Yeah.
invite them to come to one of our
I think
meetings
that'd be
at
a
some
great
point.
idea and make
Yeah.
that a topic that day
Yeah.
or have a separate meeting with them
Yeah.
just to talk about what are they doing versus what we're doing and
And
how,
where can,
and how
how
can
can
we-
we help,
yeah.
work
Coordinate it
together?
yeah,
Yeah.
what problems are they
They
having?
can make it
Are
a
they-
fun thing, a little
Yeah.
contest.
Yep.
I see a senior project in there.
Yeah,
Certainly the potential for one. Plus, I know through working with some of the faculty up at FG, at Frederick Gun School. For their civic engagement and stuff, they often like their students to come to a meeting and like.
Oh.
they
just
come
hear-
to, they came to a selectman meeting, I think, one
Yes,
time.
done
Yeah,
that, when they were getting involved in
good.
politics, but like, to just understand the challenges and how it works, out in the real world,
That's
or,
Yeah.
That's
so-
great.
Yeah.
So
Good understanding.
speak, I'll draft a letter that we could send out to them. Unless we have all their email contacts of whoever it would be.
I'll work on that,
all right.
I'll
I think
find
that'd be
the right
great. Just
person,
ask them,
because,
tell
yeah,
them, we're doing this, we're all doing this. Let's get together and just talk about it.
What
yeah.
Yeah, how can we work together and,
efforts are being made in
yeah.
town.
Show
yeah.
appreciation for what they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could write that up in one of our.
I mean, they
newsletters
are our
too.
largest employer.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
but the
Chippewa.
largest institutions in our
Yeah,
town, so
yeah,
that'd be a
yeah.
nice, that'd be
Yeah,
a
I
nice
know.
partnership.
I know the Chippewa has been, I don't know how many, Chippewa's the large, but education is the largest employer within the town with all those schools, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
So-
and because the middle high school is in Washington,
right,
even though it's regional.
Right.
I was also thinking at some point, we should maybe see if we could schedule a meeting with Nicole, the business manager at
Yeah, Region 12.
Region 12. Well, I just really feel like I wanna the whole solar thing.
Yeah.
I've heard, well, or the buses, like just where they are on a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff. There's been
I-
insurance issues, there's. this
yeah, I don't
and
think all of
that.
it's a priority. They got other stuff going on.
I know,
And I don't know who their facility manager is
it's
anymore.
still done.
Oh, well, there you go.
Right, Yeah.
Don McLean.
oh,
No,
Leary.
Donald
Donald Leary.
Leary. He's the-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he does a good job for the stuff, but he's not,
No, yeah.
it's hard to get him to look at some new things for sure.
Yeah.
On the plastic bag side, by the way, I
Mm-hmm.
just dropped off another 30 pounds of plastic bag. I think we're close to 300 pounds that that we've
Nice.
collected so far.
That's great.
So I collect
Is there a time limit on getting our 1,000?
until April 20, whatever Earth Day was, that was the day
Okay,
we
so
said
we
we'd
have
start.
a year.
Yeah. So
It's not- They won't give us more time? if we-
I do not know. I have not
Okay.
asked, but, well,
Okay.
and remember, the first couple of months, we hardly dropped off anything. I'm picking up at the transfer station every other week, 30 to 40 pounds every other week. And then
Amazing.
here we get some, not as much as we get, but I have asked Jim, if you go to the transfer station, if you dropped off your plastic bags there, it's now, there's a box there that's been built and
Awesome.
and so Jim is
Yeah.
building another one, asking, having them build the same kind of thing that we can put back here.
Yeah,
So instead of having it in the building here, we can put it back
Which
there and people would have
Reminds
access to it.
me, so I have the sign made for food waste
Waste,
for
okay.
back here. I didn't make the plastic one because I figured I'd wait until the box was actually built.
Right. Well, I
Ha-
thought the thing with,
Did you, were you, did you
Yes.
have any luck with the business office purchasing the bear-proof cart?
well, I had luck with talking to Jim to say, we want to go do this, and if it doesn't work, then we'll take the concern was, the concern has always been animals, particularly bears, getting in.
Bear.
So, we talked about this, Michelle found a bear-proof,
Mhm.
cart back there that we can put there.
And I verified with the compost people, it works with their truck.
That, you did do that. That
did
was
do
one
that,
I couldn't remember whether we had gotten that done or not. So, Jim agreed with me when I met with him that, we're gonna give it a try. If it doesn't work, we can still use it up at the transfer
Mhm.
station. So did you put an invoice or something in my box? Cause I never,
Well, you needed to sign off for the
Yeah.
signs, those invoices were in your box.
I just picked up stuff in my box. Oh, this probably is it. Yeah, there's a trash can.
That, but that's from the email.
Okay,
So you have to,
Have
you
you
have
check
to,
your email?
what's this one? Yeah, I
that's the
do,
one you need to sign
for
for
the
Okay.
sign,
for these.
yes.
To go to the trash fund,
Yeah,
something?
yeah, that's good,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what was made.
Yeah.
These two were made.
And we're, and
That's
this,
the ordering information. I
Great.
re-emailed it.
I'll.
So you just need to follow up with Linda or Jeff
I will
or
bring it.
whoever's gonna do that
We
order.
have a board meeting tomorrow night. I'll bring it down when I come to sign checks. And I'll
Great.
sign off on it and I'm gonna tell her this is where, and that's how it'll be fine. All right, great.
Okay,
So this one here, right. We're doing
those are already made. I have
Right.
this one in my office, just waiting.
and
for
the
the
same
bid.
kind of thing that's back here.
Mhm,
Okay, great.
exactly the
And so you
same.
just have to.
And I'll make the
get paid.
plastic one is, I just didn't do it because
Right,
the
right.
bin wasn't made
I know,
yet. and-
I'll check with Jim about getting that done. Took a while to get the other one. All right, you got it. I just rarely get stuff in my box, but I saw
You
something.
told me to put it there.
Yeah, right. Well, now I'll go sign it,
Good,
you know?
good.
All right. All right, anything else anybody has that I forgot to talk about or would like to bring up? I'd like to follow on that conversation if everybody gets a chance, to look at what on the conservation website, what is it that they're charged to do? Yeah, Conservation Commission. Because I think there's overlap in what we're doing. And we did have, Susie was on the committee and she didn't come, and then we had Linda Frank for a while. But I think it's a good idea, you know, if we can help them, they can help us, whatever,
Mhm,
but there is
yeah.
some overlap in the kind of things we're talking about, so.
Okay.
I would like to see if we could work together. I'm gonna go to the meeting with Jim when he goes the next time, and I did put down here, I'm gonna touch base with Wayne to get his opinion on where we are with what he thinks of as open space in terms of the P O C D
Sure.
and what he thinks would be next steps or how he would view, you
I
know,
think it's Linda.
do
that
that.
one.
Yeah,
Yep,
sounds
all
good.
right, great. Well, then
that's it?
I
Wow.
you know, we don't have people here, so that's, you know, that's a good 10-15 minutes, so,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
thank you. All in favor? All right,
Alright. Oh, I don't get to vote, but
yeah, that's okay,
I'm still in favor of adjourning.
all right.
Things to do, summertime. Time to go.
That's for sure, I picked 50 tomatoes off our plants
Oh
today.
my gosh,
Wow.
that's amazing.
We have 20 plants,
Oh,
and
sure.
we can't, we